Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of my Orc Shaman level 1 through 60 Let's Play in the Season of Discovery, where last episode we ended things with doing some stuff on the auction house, and it has been a few days since I have recorded the last bit of that episode to starting this episode, and we can see that we have some unread mail from the Horde auction house, and let's go ahead and check it out, where it looks like we have a lot of successful auctions, where it looks like every single thing that we put on the auction house last episode has sold. So we sold some linen cloth for like 9 silver, 16 copper, some peace bloom for silver and 19 copper, some tiger's eye for 4 silver and 5 copper. So if we come down to our bags here, we have 1 gold and 55 silver and 74 copper. And now if you open all of these and all this money goes into our bags, we now have 2 gold, 12 silver and 47 copper, which is very nice. But today I want to go ahead and begin a new adventure where we have been exploring the Barrens here, and I have completed many quests here in the Barrens, but we are now reaching a point in our Let's Play series where we are going to be playing in a few different zones, where we are going to be traveling to a lot of different zones in this video and the upcoming videos, where I'm probably only going to do like 1 zone per video as we begin exploring all of these locations, and all of these locations are going to be places that we return to for the next several levels, probably up to like level 30 or so. But the first one is west out of the crossroads through the Barrens and into the Stonetalon Mountains, which is a little bit of a cool location we've talked about a tiny bit in this series with its importance in the Warcraft 3 campaign. But we have many different quests to come to the Stonetalon Mountains, where we have 1 to turn in here, and then we have a couple quests to pick up, and then a few more quests along the way with another one to turn in right here. Plus we have the main Horde town as well. So basically at the start of this episode, I just want to go into Stonetalon Mountains. I want to begin exploring it, checking out all these different locations, and then I think we can go ahead and just start doing a little bit of questing. We could talk about some lore and story, and then we can meet back up and kind of explore some really cool things that I'm excited to showcase in this series. But let's go ahead and continue along this road west, where one quick thing that I want to point out along the way is this location right here with Regthar Deathgate, which this is the quest area related to the centaurs, where I did like 5 different quests here in the last episode, and it's just a really cool location where we have like this bunker right here, and then we have like a ruined bunker and like a ruined hut right here, and we have this orc peon here, and then if you saw while we were fighting, I believe his name is like Overlord Cromgar, we were fighting all of them, all the centaurs, alongside a bunch of like orcish and troll warriors, which was really fun. And I kind of just like this area because it feels a little bit like Warcraft 3, where we have like these buildings here, and then we have like units placed down that are fighting against centaurs attacking our buildings or whatever. It's just a really cool vibe and a really cool quest that I enjoyed doing last episode. But as we follow along the road here, we have gotten to Honor's Stand, which is this little bit of a watchtower with a few Barrens guards and some catapults and some fences and stuff around here that is defending the Barrens from like this entrance from any potential threat that could come into the Barrens from Stonetalon Mountains. Probably most likely would be the centaurs who come from Desolus, which is a higher level location, like level 40-ish, I believe, level 30 to 40, something like that, where a lot of centaurs are located, and the centaurs are coming into the Barrens and into Mulgore and kind of just messing things up for the Horde. But as we leave past Honor's Stand, we can go ahead and leave the Barrens, as we can see that the zone is transitioning once again into a different color of rock, where we've gone from Durotar into the Barrens, and then we've gone from Barrens into Mulgore, and those are 2 very distinct like zone separations or whatever transitions, where we have a 3rd one here, which is a very common thing with World of Warcraft, where each zone is very unique from one another, but some are kind of similar in vibes, where we can see the Barrens and Stonetalon Mountains here are kind of similar in vibes but still very distinct and stand out from each other. But let's go ahead and come over here to these quest givers, where we have 2 quests to pick up plus 1 quest to turn in, which is just a quest that we picked up in Orgrimmar that was basically sending us to this location, and we can fight some Venture Kogoblins and some Grim Totem mercenaries, where of course the Grim Totem is a tribe that we have not talked about yet, where we've talked a little bit about the Bloodhoof tribe and how Cairn Bloodhoof united a bunch of the tribes of the Taurens, but one of the tribes that hasn't really allied themselves with the others is the Grim Totem tribe, where like their Elder Crone, the leader, Magath the Grim Totem, is a very prominent lore character who is kind of like, you know, friendly towards the other Tauren, but like by and large, these Grim Totem Taurens are hostile towards both the Alliance and the Horde, and play a somewhat important part in the World of Warcraft story moving forward, starting now, where we fight some of them. This first quest here is a pretty easy quest, even though it is marked as a level 18 quest, where a lot of the enemies right here are like level 14, level 15, level 16, but as we progress deeper into the Stonetalon Mountains, it really quickly begins to become like a level 20 zone, which is going to be like the next like spot that we go to, or second next spot where we'll fight some more Grim Totems in a moment that are like level 18-ish. So we're just going to be ramping up a little bit. Then the next spot after is like level 20-ish, and then there's going to be a little bit of stuff you can do around level 20. But I think like the next time that we really do a ton of stuff in the zone after this episode is going to be like around level probably like 28 or so, which is not in the current level band, which actually brings up a really interesting topic that I've been thinking about a lot recently, about how I want to pace this Let's Play series, where I have just been playing casually and kind of just leveling up, and I was trying to decide if I wanted to like make sure that I'm like max level at each level band before the next one comes out, and I don't think that is necessarily going to happen. It's likely to happen, but I think I'm just going to go with the flow, and I'm going to level up and play every week however I want. And if we happen to hit level 25, we can explore some other stuff, where regardless of if we hit level 25, I want to explore some other stuff as well in the Road of Azeroth as we go along in this series, which should be something you see very soon. There is a barrel of milk right here, which is actually really nice for me to stumble upon because I only have 2 ice cold milk left and just got 3 more, which is nice. I need to make sure that I pick up some more food and water the next time we head back towards an inn or any town, where I forgot to do that before we left the crossroads. But we should be fine because I'm probably not going to do a ton of stuff before we hit the next town. So this is the last mercenary that I need for this quest, so we can go ahead and do something that's kind of annoying in the zone, where we have to run back and forth a bit, where we can go ahead and run back towards here, and we can turn in this quest, and then we can go ahead and run over here and do 2 quests, and then we can run back, and then eventually we're going to run all the way up here, and then we're going to have to run all the way back here. So we have a little bit of running to do, but let's go ahead and pick up the new quest, which is going to take us over here deeper into this Grim Totem camp, where we are now fighting like level 15, level 16 Grim Totems, and there is a boss in here that we can fight, and there is also an escort quest for us to do, where I think I saw one other person around here, but there's not really anybody in the zone right now for some reason. I think there's some layering issues going on, and it's also after midnight Pacific time right now, so it is a little late at night and probably not a lot of people playing. But we can go ahead and clear through here a little bit, and I can go ahead and try to clear out the camp and get towards the boss, and then we can go ahead and begin this escort, where it's a pretty easy escort compared to like other escort quests, but there's only like one really kind of challenging part, so we just have to be careful about that. And if you just saw that, I just layered into a brand new layer here for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and invite our boss and escort, please. And I'm in this layer, and I want to say TY, so I guess this makes my life a little bit easier. Here's the boss, so let's go ahead and defeat this boss, which should be pretty easy to do. And then let's go ahead and begin this escort, where I think only a couple of us here in this group need to do this escort, but we can go ahead and just start it and just fight through a bunch of the Grim Totem here. We can go ahead and just slowly walk along with Kaya Flathoof right here, and then just charge ahead and go ahead and defeat any Grim Totem that is trying to kill Kaya here, or us I suppose, but I think we primarily care about keeping the escort NPC alive. We just got a waylaid supplies sell relief, so we can go ahead and turn that in for a little bit of a reputation, which I think the reputation actually got changed recently. I'm not entirely sure. I think there's like a specific rune that every class can unlock from the reputation, and I think you can get it at an earlier level now compared to what it used to be at, which is nice. We have pretty much escorted Kaya without any conflict whatsoever, where we just had to fight a few of the Grim Totem as we were leaving the camp. But as we arrive right here, we have all of these Grim Totem that we now have to fight. So let's go ahead and kind of tag them all, and they're all attacking me, so maybe I'll cast a healing wave, or maybe a couple of healing waves. And then it looks like most of them are dead now, so I kind of tanked that a little bit so our friend here could do a bunch of damage, and I'm really happy that we had this person here to help us out, and we can go ahead and basically just finish this escort by having her walk right over here, and then we can go ahead and complete this quest, where I can say TY and have a great evening, and then we can go ahead and run back towards the start of this zone, where we now have 2 quests to turn in compared to the one previously. We should be able to get quite a bit of experience from turning in these 2 quests, and now we have a new quest to go to Sun Rock Retreat to report the good news about what we have just done here. Which Sun Rock Retreat is the main Horde camp in this zone, where the Alliance and the Horde kind of have like an equal amount of camps in the zone, where they each have like one big town and then one little camp, where this is the Horde's little camp. Actually, that's not true. The Horde have 2 little camps. So we have this little camp right here, and then we have this little camp right here, which now that I think back on it, I think the Alliance only do have 1 little camp. So the Horde outnumber them a little bit. Not that any of that is really important, but we have completed the quest here, and we will return back here once we complete the Goblin Invaders quest. But of course, we can go ahead and push further into Stonetalon Mountains, because we are done fighting the Grim Totems at Grim Totem Post, and we can go ahead and come over here towards the second Horde camp, which basically has like a merchant and a few NPCs. Even though it is actually a pretty decently sized camp, there isn't too much going on there, but we can go ahead and pick up this quest. And then we also have this Arachnophobia quest, where both of these have to do with fighting the spiders, and then we have the deep moss spider eggs. And I think I'm going to skip over them right now, and we can go to Sunrock Retreat really quickly and turn in this quest, and we can get some food and water, and then we can get the flight path, and then we can go ahead and begin working on the entirety of the Stonetalon Mountains, at least as much as we can do at this current level, where we can go ahead and make a little bit of a detour right here by going off the road and coming into Malakajan, which is a troll camp that I was just talking about. And we can go ahead and explore this area a little bit, where there is 1 quest giver in here for us to currently pick up a quest from. I believe we would get another quest from like his name is Darn Talon Grip, which is the same exact quest as Report to Kadrak, which is going to take us to Ashenvale, but we already picked this quest up in the Crossroads, and that is going to be for the next episode. But for now, let's go ahead and pick up Blood Feeders, and we just have that quest right there, and we can go ahead and come over here, where we can see there's this little bit of like a tent right here, or a pavilion, and then there is a cave in there, and we have a butcher and then 2 more NPCs. So not too much going on here, but it's a nice little spot, and it is a little bit of a quest hub. But let's go ahead, and unless I see a bunch of people kind of looking for people to do Arachnophobia, I might join them really quickly just to get that quest out of the way. But if I don't see people doing that, I'm going to go ahead and just run straight past this place and head towards Sun Rock Retreat, where we can see coming up in front of us now are going to be some spiders and some spider eggs potentially, where maybe I can grab 1 or 2 along the way. We have this wanted poster here for Bessaleth, so let's go ahead and pick that up. And I don't see anybody recruiting for it right now, and there are a couple of people around here, but I think, like I've said a couple times now, we can come back here later. Where up here we have a little bit of a small Alliance camp, where we can see 2 Alliance NPCs right there that are both quest givers for Alliance characters and are hostile towards Horde characters. And then there is a neutral goblin hut right here with Ziz Physics that we can go ahead and get a couple of quests from and work on that as well, but we can go meet him later, because I want to continue up here, where if we follow the road all the way up, we will eventually reach Stonetalon Peak, which we will go to later, but at a little bit of a higher level. But this is the main Alliance town that also has some quests for the Horde to fight some Alliance NPCs. But as far as our journeys right now, we can go ahead and come up here, and then we will be coming off the road west a little bit into Sunrock Retreat, where I can go ahead and avoid these spiders, and we can go ahead and kind of situate ourselves in this town. Which here we are, Sunrock Retreat, with a bunch of Stonetalon grunts, and we can see some Tauren architecture coming into view. We have the inn right here, and my Hearthstone is currently set to the Crossroads, and I think I want to keep it there actually, where we can unlock the Flight Master, and then we can return to Sunrock Retreat via the Flight Master. But I'm definitely going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of food and water, and I guess I'll just pick up some mutton chops, or a little bit of haunches of meat, I guess. And let's go ahead and just run around here and grab everything, where we have a level 26 quest, which I think I'll pick that up another time. And then we have Cycle of a Rebirth, and also Kai is alive, so we can go ahead and turn in this quest and then pick up this one. And then we have a dungeon quest down there, and then another quest that I might do as well. We have a water elemental as a quest giver right here, Tsunamin, and then we have a shaman that we can go ahead and pick up this quest, and I am going to avoid this one right now, or actually this is sending us towards a location that we will be going to next episode, so I guess I'll just pick that up and we can turn that in, and it'll just be a little bit of extra experience, 440 experience, so it's like a little something. But we will not be doing that dungeon or raid anytime soon, at least. Over here is a little bit of a fun place because we have this bridge that we could go across, but we also have a little bit like parkour. We can do a small little jumping puzzle, and we can jump across this and get over here, or we could walk around on this side. But we have this Flight Master right here, and we have now unlocked this flight path, which I guess, let's take a look at Kalimdor, and we can see we have expanded to where we can fly. And we also have a Blood Elf NPC right here, Braylon Firehand, which is very cool, and she will offer us a quest at a later level, where in order to get to that later level, we have to go ahead and work on some quests and fight a bunch of mobs around the Stonetalon Mountains, and potentially the Barrens as well that I'll return to. So let's go ahead and spend some time doing that and talk about the lore and story of this area of the world. Where Stonetalon Mountains is a really fun zone for me to play through, except it is a little bit of a smaller zone, where there aren't as many quests in this zone compared to other zones like the Barrens, so ultimately we'll be spending a bit less time here, even though we have to level up a little bit to do more of the quests here, which is a trend we see in classic World of Warcraft. But Stonetalon Mountains is also kind of a frustrating zone for some people, where I don't have too big of an issue with this, but some people get impatient playing through this zone, because I was talking about how much running you have to do, where I do quite a bit of running as we play through this area now. And one additional thing before we start talking about the story of this location is Windshear Crag is a really interesting location, and we're not going to explore all of it in this episode, but we start fighting some of the Venture Company here, and there are a ton of players exploring through Windshear Crag because of the Season of Discovery has basically every player fighting shredders into Windshear Crag in order to get one of their special runes, which they have to do a lot of other stuff and then pay gold on top of it to get that rune. And for us, as a shaman, it is the dual wield rune. So there's definitely a big challenge ahead of us for getting that rune, and like I've said, I think we'll explore two-handed weapon later on in the series when we're a bit higher level, have a little bit more gold and can afford some things, and we might do something fun in the meantime. But the Stonetalon Mountains are a range of peaks that lie west of the Northern Barrens, south of Ashenvale, and north of Desolace. The mountains are traditionally the ancestral home of the Harpies, but the numbers have dwindled with the turmoil in the region. Stonetalon Peak, the largest mountain in the range, has long been a sacred place for both the Night Elves and Tauren. The mountains further south are less forested, although some sparse evergreens grow in certain spots, particularly the Greatwood Vale. Windshear Crag has been decimated by years of logging by various factions, leaving the areas filled with soot and spoiling the area's water with oil and waste. The Night Elves have several holds, while the Tauren have a settlement in the centrally located Sunrock Retreat, and the Darkspear Trolls have a village further south at Malakajan. The mountains are home to creatures such as kobolds, spiders, and eagles, while Charred Vale stretches out to the sea and holds several especially dangerous enemies. Stonetalon Mountains have traditionally been the area of Kalimdor where Night Elves and Tauren coexist and forms a border between the two peoples. Stonetalon Peak has long been a sacred place for the two races and was historically the home of the immortal Oracle, the being who saw the strands of fate as they were woven by the Earth Mother. During the Third War, the mountains hosted human and orcish camps, and it was at Stonetalon Peak that the Alliance and the Horde temporarily united in order to fight the Burning Legion. The area south of Stonetalon Peak housed Razormane Quellbore, a group of centaur and a group of harpies who captured local wyverns and corrupted the fountain blessed by a loon. Where in this video, I want to go down a very deep tangent that is loosely related to Stonetalon Mountains, where one of the quests in Stonetalon Mountains has us fighting an Earthen, which there aren't a lot of examples of this in vanilla World of Warcraft, and the Earthen become a big part in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, and then in the upcoming expansion, the War Within, in World of Warcraft, the modern day version of the game, the Earthen are going to be playing a huge part. So since they are featured here in Stonetalon Mountains, and since they're loosely connected to this area, I want to go ahead and just go down this rabbit hole and basically just go on a tangent here for a little bit. Which of course, this is a spoiler for future parts of the game. The Earthen, sometimes referred to as Earthen Dwarves, or Early Dwarves, are stony, titan-forged beings that were created by the Titanic Keepers to help shape the subterranean regions of the world during the Ordering of Azeroth. Succumbing to the curse of flesh, most of the Earthen became mortal creatures of flesh and blood known as dwarves. There remains a sizable population of Earthen in Deepholm, Odaman, and Odiar. Following the war with the Old Gods, the Titan Keepers used the Forge of Wills to create new Titan-forged races to help them reshape and order the world, yet their first designs proved too complex and overambitious. Rather than making the perfect servants, they had created stone-skinned savages known as Trogs. The Keepers quickly refined and perfected their designs. The craggy, kind-hearted Earthen were the next generation of Titan Forge to emerge from the Forge of Wills, created from magical living stone. The Keepers were troubled by the Trogs, but they could not bear to destroy them. Instead, the Titanic Watcher Ainaya built a small subterranean vault known as Odaman that would act as a stasis chamber for them. Other new Titan-forged races were the Clockwork Mechanomes, the Stone-skinned Mogu, the Iron-skinned Vrykul, and the Chiseled Tovir. The Earthen would specialize in crafting mountains and carving out the deep places of the world. Created by the Titans themselves, Valnir, Hammer of the Ancient Kings, was given to the first Earthen King Uriel Stoneheart. With the hammer, he was to create and give life to the rest of his brethren. Valnir was eventually shattered during the first war between the Earthen and the Iron Dwarves. Keeper Loken had fallen under the old god Yogg-Saron's sway and taken control of Odiar and Odiar's servant Titanforge, but he had banished a great number of his servants to the Storm Peaks and sealed the fortress of Odiar. For many ages after Loken's betrayal, the Titanforged who were exiled from Odiar spread across northern Kalimdor, with the Earthen tunneled into the deep places of the world, where they fought for dominance against the misshapen and brutish Trogs. And so after the Pantheon's departure, the Earthen were largely unconcerned with the affairs of the surface-dwelling races and longed only to plumb the dark depths of the earth. During the Winterscorn War, the massive Winterscorn army marched first against the good-natured Earthen, storming their underground layers. The Earthen foes were led by fire giants, Vulcan and Ignis, and consisted of the Winterscorn clan Vrykul and newly molded powerful molten golems and iron constructs designed by the fire giants. The Earthen were unprepared for such an organized force. Entire caverns were massacred to the last living creature. A small group of survivors escaped and sought out Tyr, Arcadis, and Ironaya, who had eluded Loken's wrath. Tyr and his allies immediately journeyed in aid to the Earthen's cavernous home, and in time, the Earthen and their allies drove back the Winterscorn. The fire giants next enslaved entire flights of proto-dragons with enchanted snares with which the Winterscorn army shattered the Earthen's defenses and scattered them across the icy mountain passes. The Earthen were hunted by Vrykul and golems on the ground and proto-dragons from the sky. Even Tyr was forced to flee. Knowing that he and his allies could not defeat the Winterscorn alone, he called on the dragon aspects for help. The aspects, enraged by these events, unleashed their power on the Winterscorn's iron ranks and brought a decisive end to the conflict. With the Winter Scorn defeated, the Titan Forge were still divided. Tyr and his allies Arcadis and Ironaya stole the Disc of Nordanen from Loken and gathered great numbers of Titan Forged who dwelled around Odior and whom they saw as innocent victims of Loken's treachery. Most of the surviving Earthen, a large group of peaceful Raikou afflicted by the Curse of Flesh, and many of the Mechanomes agreed to flee with them southward in preparation for their next move. They traveled for weeks until they reached what would one day become known as the Terrasval Glades. It is here Tyr sacrificed himself, fighting a Cathrax monstrosity in order to allow the rest of the Titan Forge to flee further south. The Raikou were so moved by the Keeper's deeds that they decided to settle at the battle site and stand vigil over his grave until the end of days, while the Earthen, with Arcadis, Ironaya, and Mechanomes, continued south until they reached the easternmost Titan Forge vault in Kalimdor, Odaman. The Keeper and the Giantess expanded the site, carving out new chambers. As years passed, some of the Earthen and Odaman exhibited signs of the Curse of Flesh. Fearing that the effects would only worsen, they asked to be placed in hibernation until a cure could one day be found. Arcadis agreed, promising to rouse them at some time in the future. He sealed his followers within the vast subterranean vaults. The Mechanomes, however, remained awake. Even though they knew the curse would one day overtake them as well, they heroically vowed to watch over the facility and maintain its wondrous machineries. A small number of the Earthen had chosen not to be placed in stasis as well, deciding that they would watch over and maintain the facility alongside their Mechanome companions. The Earthen largely kept to themselves. They were unconcerned with the activities of the world's other races as new civilizations arose across Azeroth. Some Earthen remained isolated underneath the icy mountains in Northrend. Those who came south with Keeper Arcadis and the Watcher Ironaya continued to dwell or slumber within the catacomb vaults of Odaman. Some of the Earthen came to conflict against the Kaldori Empire, but were defeated by the military power of the House of Ravencrest. The Night Elves came to use the derogatory term of dwarf to refer to those Earthen. When the demons invaded Azeroth, many other clans of Earthen, led by Dungard Ironcutter, were convinced to join the resistance against the Burning Legion by Gerard Shadowsong, or alternately by the Dragon Mage Crassus when he traveled in time. Even while Night Elves looked down upon other races, it was a reluctant truce. As the Earthen were caught in by Crassus in defiance of the xenophobic commander Desdel Starai, the Earthen were initially put to the outskirts of the host, but after Starai's demise, their warriors were put to their best use under the new commander, Gerard Shadowsong. When the Great Sundering tore through Azeroth, many of the active Earthen reeled from the catastrophe. They felt the pain of the broken world as their own. They tunneled deep within Odaman and locked themselves away within the hibernation chambers alongside their sleeping brethren. Only the Mechanomes remained to watch over the facility, yet they too eventually succumbed to the Curse of Flesh, causing them to turn into fleshy beings, later known as gnomes. Physically and mentally debilitated, they lost all sense of purpose and left the halls of Odaman. Only a handful of Mechanomes stayed in the facility, still driven by their Titan-forged imperative. They gradually succumbed to the degradations of time until only one was left. This lone clockwork servant did her best to maintain Odaman until the Curse of Flesh began to chip away at her metallic form as well. Aware that she did not have much time left, the gnome worked to free the still slumbering Earthen. With her dying breath, she activated the hibernation chambers. The awakened Earthen found that they had changed dramatically. The rocky hides had softened and become smooth skin. They had become mortal creatures of flesh and blood. Calling themselves dwarves, the last of the Earthen left the halls of Odaman and ventured out into the waking world. They found themselves drawn to the west, where a range of majestic stone mountains towered into the clouds, settling in the snowy region of Dun Morogh. And still lulled by the safety and wonders of the deep places, they found a vast kingdom under the highest mountain in the land, and named their land Kaz Modan, or Mountain of Kaz, in honor of the Titan Khaz'groth. They delved into the heart of Kaz Modan's tallest mountain and crafted an immense forge, around which they built the proud city called Ironforge. Where this is basically the origin story of the dwarves and the gnomes, and also a bit about the humans as well, and some old ancient history. Where in Stonetalon Mountains, besides the ones near Odom, only Golgoroth has been seen in Kalimdor. The Resonite crystals from Borderslide Ravine and Stonetalon contain earthen magic. Where when we look at Golgoroth, there isn't too much lore and story surrounding him, but he is a character here in Kalimdor and Stonetalon Mountains, where there are the Resonite crystals here, and we, as members of the Horde, fight and kill Golgoroth, this random Earthen here in Stonetalon Mountains. Welcome to Classic WoW, where I have returned to the Barrens. I have killed Saran the Bloodfeather, the leader of the Harpies, and I have killed a few Kodo and other animals to get some leather, and we are very close to level 20, which is a huge milestone in our journey, where level 20 is basically 1/3 of the way through this leveling process, but it's really only like maybe like 10% of the journey because of how you need more and more experience as you level up each time. So it is pretty quick to get to, but still it is a great place to get to because of how much stuff we unlock at level 20, where if we turn in this quest we can go ahead and level up. And we got this quest to return to Jinzo, where I have two other quests to return to the Stonetalon Mountains, so we'll go there at some point. But I'm now level 20, which is super exciting, where we can go to the Shaman trainer and we can train some new stuff, but we can also go ahead and come into our talent tree here, where we have unlocked our first level 20 talent, where we can have enhancing totems, increases the effect of your strength of earth and grace of air totems by 8%. Anticipation increases your chance to dodge by an additional 1%, and two-handed axes and maces allows you to use two-handed axes and two-handed maces, which is super exciting, where I am going to go ahead and pick this talent, where we can go ahead and put this point in here and we learn a brand new passive talent somewhere. I think it is in our weapon skills here. So we have learned two-handed axes and two-handed maces, which means we have this cool axe right here and this really cool shield that I got as a drop recently. But we can go ahead and put on an axe, where I have two different axes here actually, where I have this one that's 10.7 damage per second, 3 stamina and 3 strength, or 13.1 damage per second and 6 stamina, where I think I'm going to go with this one that we just got, and it looks a little bit cooler as well. But I'll go ahead and throw these up here for now. And then a really interesting part of Classic WoW that a lot of people don't like, and it got changed pretty quickly in World of Warcraft's history, is we are starting off this weapon at a level 1, where we have 5 bonus points in two-handed axes and axes because we are an orc, where we can come up to this plane strider here and we can go ahead and just start leveling up our two-handed axes a little bit, and hopefully we won't die, and we can go ahead and deal a little bit of damage to the plane strider, where we dealt quite a bit of damage with our lightning shield. And then perhaps we could just sit here a little bit, can just hit this plane strider for one over and over again, where we can get our two-handed axes to like a pretty decent level, and then we can go ahead and like go back out and journey a little bit more. And of course our chat box is going to be filled with our two-handed axes has increased to 18, 19, 20, 21, and that is still going to go up. And a very nice thing, since we are a shaman, is as we take damage we can go ahead and use our healing wave here, and we can heal pretty much back to full health, and we can go ahead and continue hitting this plane strider. Right now that I am level 53 in two-handed axes, I am starting to obliterate these plane striders. So I think we are at a decent enough level now where we can go fight a higher level mob, maybe like a level 20 mob, and we're going to really struggle against that first mob, but that's probably going to take us most of the way to maxing out two-handed axes, and then after that we will just have to fight a few more monsters just to get our two-handed axes up. So I think I'll just get one more ruined leather scrap so we can have like a full light leather here, and then I want to head back to Orgrimmar because we can go to the shaman trainer, and then I need to clean my bags, and I also have a supply shipment that I put 14 light leather into that we can go ahead and turn in. So let's go ahead and get to Orgrimmar. Whereas we land in Orgrimmar, I want to go ahead and head straight to the shaman trainer, whereas we pass by this shaman that has the two-handed weapon rune. We can go ahead and be very jealous, and we can go ahead and learn some new spells. So we can learn Frost Shock, which is very nice, so let's go ahead and learn that, and a new rank of Lightning Bolt. And then if we come down here, do I want Frostband weapon? It might be nice to have, but I mostly use Flame Tongue weapon, and I have Frost Shock. But we have Ghost Wolf here, which turns the shaman into a ghost wolf, increasing speed by 40%, only usable outdoors. So this is a very nice skill to have. Let's take a look at it in a second. And then we have Lesser Healing Wave here, which might be useful for us, so let's go ahead and learn that, where I learned Frost Shock, so let's go ahead and throw that down there for now. And then we got Lightning Bolt rank 4, so I'll throw that on my bar. And then we have Lesser Healing Wave. So we have Healing Wave, 155 mana, 3-second cast, heals for 272 to 321 health. And Lesser Healing Wave is 50 less mana, but heals like 110 less health, but is cast in half the time. But then in enhancement here, we have Ghost Wolf, which this is a very, very nice skill to have, where basically once we reach level 40 we can learn how to ride a mount, which is going to increase our movement speed by 60%, where when we were on our human mage we unlocked Blink, which just blinks us forward a little bit at level 20, but we didn't really learn anything like this that increases our speed, because this is exclusive to a few classes or stuff like this, where we have Ghost Wolf on an orc here, and then we have the aspect of the cheetah on like a hunter. But let's go ahead, cast Ghost Wolf. It is a 3-second cast, the same as a mount, and we turn into this wolf here and we run 40% faster, which is very, very nice. And we will be using this a lot here on out in the series, where if we come into our enhancement tree here, we can learn Improved Ghost Wolf, which reduces the cast time of your Ghost Wolf spell by 1 second. So it would make it a total of a 1 second cast time once we get 2 of these points in here, which I think I might go ahead and do that, because that's like, you know, saving 2 seconds is like very convenient, and it could potentially save our life one day. But let's go ahead and do a few random things around the city, where we can turn into this crate here, where we can get some silver and some reputation and a little bit of experience. And then let's go ahead and clean out my inventory. I was just putting stuff on the auction house and some of my stuff instantly sold, so there's 25 silver coming to my bags at some point in the future, or in exactly an hour, I guess. Where I got this Tempest icon when we were exploring the Barrens last episode. Right now that we are level 20, we can go ahead and use this, and we can learn a new rune skill or whatever after doing this, where we have to hit 10 non-player enemies with 3 different elements: nature, frost, and fire. Where we have some nature stuff, we have some fire stuff, and we now have some frost stuff. So we can go ahead and do that. But before we do that, let's go ahead and return to the crossroads. Right now that we are back in the crossroads, I am going to go ahead and call this episode good here, where we explored a lot of the Stonetalon Mountains and we completed a bunch of quests in that zone, and we have also completed a few quests in the Barrens and reached level 20, our first big milestone in our leveling adventure here. But I hope you all enjoyed watching this episode of my Orc Shaman Let's Play series, and I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time in the world of Azeroth. Goodbye.